The Call to the One, a global initiative for world peace through unity of spirit. Introducing the servant of the call, Kamal Rani. Introduction to Kamal Rani, servant of the call to the One. Kamal is a 71-year-old grandmother from the United States. She was born an orphan and lived a life of deep suffering, deprivation, and abuse in her childhood. Throughout this period, she was guided ever more closely to the light of love through the voice of the divine on the inner plane. She learned very early that suffering was but an opportunity to grow in the surrender to the will of the divine and to learn the way of love. The Gospels say, "The Lord hears the cry of the poor. Blessed be the Lord." Kamal's deep devotion to service to humanity through the love of God is a clear witness to the truth of this promise. She has her 4-year degree in social work, and she worked for many years as a human rights advocate for the poor, the orphaned, and the war-ravaged veteran. For a time, she studied meditation and spiritual practice with a hermit Franciscan monk who had studied himself in India. She also worked as a Catholic worker in New York City with the homeless and destitute. Kamal is also a gifted musician of the Great King. She served as a music minister for 50 years in various Christian denominations where her clear spirit lifted the people in song and renewed devotion. Kamal has been practicing universal truth in real time for 65 plus years. She grew up as a deeply devoted disciple of the Master Yeshua, Jesus, and spent her childhood studying and practicing the gospel message. When Kamal was about 35 years old, she was called to study and live as a practicing Catholic for 10 years, where she devoted her every breath to the practice of deep contemplation, the study of the works of the saints, and the practice of surrender to divine love through detachment to the material world and deep devotion to the service of all humanity. After this period, Kamal commenced a 15-year study of the Sufi mystics, Rumi, and Pir Hazrat Inayat Khan. Kamal then began studying all the main core spiritual texts in other world traditions to distill them for the living truth and the way of practice to its full realization. She also studied the clear-hearted work of the Dalai Lama and instituted that work into deep moment-to-moment, breath-to-breath practice. Over a lifetime of full and surrendered devotion to the spiritual path, Kamal has considered herself to be a student of the Dalai Lama, Gandhi, Hazrat Inayat Khan, Jesus, Krishna, and the Great Guru Nanak, Lao Tzu, and Shantideva, Saint Francis of Assisi, and Saint Teresa, the Little Flower of the Child Jesus. As a follower of the path of surrender to the fullness of divine love, Kamal strives, however humble may be her effort, that every breath be devoted to the way of the Bodhisattva that springs from the heart of full surrender of all in devotion to the service of all suffering beings who are one in the heart of divine love's creation. Kamal's deepest prayer is to be an empty vessel to be filled with the elixir of the light of love, that she may ever serve more deeply that love's divine will for the rising of the consciousness of all. Kamal has lived, studied, and communed with Great Spirit in both Sri Lanka and Nepal. Her heart is deeply devoted to the family she stayed with in these countries, and she considers them to be the family of her heart. In Nepal, she was deeply touched by the spiritual kindness of the people that ran like a pure fountain at the very heart of their souls. In Sri Lanka, also, she was moved and honored by the sweet generosity and great spiritual devotion of the people who hosted her and who made her feel so deeply at home in the heart of God. Kamal has a beautiful daughter in the United States who is the sunshine of her life, and 3 grown grandsons who she loves dearly. She also considers her friend Jennifer to be a spirit sister, along with her real-life sister Mary. In India, Kamal has a dear beloved spirit son, Abhishek, who has been a source of deep consolation to her for several years. The constancy of his spiritual light is ever an inspiration and source of comfort. The light of love is nurtured in the heart of these families, and Kamal is ever grateful to the great cosmic I Am for the blessings of their love and comfort in her life. Little messages from the heart of Kamal. Surrender in the service of divine love is the highest aspiration of the soul. We become what we aspire to. Positive aspirations lead to positive change. Adopt a gratitude attitude. Belief, faith, and practice. The greatest of these is practice. Ask not what God can do for you. Ask instead what you can do for God. The only way to honor a teacher is to practice the teachings. It does not matter to God how far you fall. What matters is how passionately you rise. We are the light of the world. We are the hand of prayer. A short poem by Kamal. I was born the child of a poor man, and a poor man's child I would be. Beyond the corruption of indulgences, there is the sanctity of poverty. Poverty of spirit that watches over all, witnesses against evil, and answers love's call. What cannot stand the light is darkness, and what avoids the day is lost. The innocent in the end will triumph, no matter what the cost. Love is the cherished dream those who sell out stand to lose. Eternal love so dear, it's difficult to understand what it is they choose. I wanted to know that God's love existed on this earthly plane, and I searched so hard and long, often finding only pain. And love's redemption that was lost was seldom, if ever, regained. Many say they believe in a risen Savior, one who was the poorest of the poor, yet they still sell out for silver, the children of the poor. The great consciousness has a no soul left behind and no question left unanswered plan. Please subscribe to our channel to aid the cause of unity of spirit for world peace through enlightened self-realization by clicking on my picture when it appears below, and comment below to introduce yourselves. Blessings and peace to all.